Someone came to see me in my office, and as soon as he walked in, I could tell in his body language that he was like frozen, literally frozen. I could see so much fear. I had never met him before, so he was not afraid of me, but I could see in his life he was dealing with a lot of pain. And we sat down, we started speaking. He barely could speak. At some point, I asked him, he said to me, my whole life I've been bullied, been taken advantage of, first by my family, later in school, always throughout my life. And he projected that element of like literally being a punching bag, for lack of a better word. And my heart broke for him. So I asked him, I said, when is the last time you cried? And he said to me, I can't remember when I cried last. The last time I cried, I must have been a young boy, maybe 5, 6 years old. And my father was hitting me, abusing me. And when I cried, he said to me, men don't cry. Stop crying. And ever since, I never cried again because I was afraid to cry. You can imagine how many tears welled up within me when I heard that. And I stood up and I said, would you mind standing up for a moment? No problem. He stands up. And I went over to him and I hugged him. I gave him a hug. He froze up, I can't tell you, like a metal pillar. I felt like I was holding a piece of cement. He was like, his whole body, all tied up in knots. And he couldn't believe that I was even hugging him. It was so uncomfortable for him. And he finally sat down. And I said to him, look, I don't know if I can help you, but one thing I would like to do. I'd like to help you learn how to cry. He said, I don't want to cry. If I start crying, I don't think I'll ever stop. So much bottled up inside him. Exactly that. A kettle with so much intensity, no outlet. And I saw with my own eyes the importance of shedding a tear, of having tear ducts, emotions welling up, turning into tears, and then the tears coming out of your eyes. We met a number of times after that. Things got a little better. I tried to introduce him. He had no friends. He was always projecting this very negative energy. But I don't really want to talk about him per se. I want to just talk about this need. So it's all about outlets. They say the silence is worse than the rape. No matter how bad the violation and the crime is, but the silence. Because the silence invalidates your right to even cry out. When you're told, nothing happened, you weren't hurt, so your imagination, worse than the crime. I don't mean worse technically. It's worse because it doesn't even let you cry. It doesn't say you have no right to be you. You have no right to be sad even. Completely plays with your wiring, especially for a child, convinced nothing happened. It's critical to be able to speak. Critical to be able to express. And expression sometimes is through laughter, and sometimes through tears. That's why the powerful psalm, so powerful that says that those that sow with tears will reap with joy. Tears are like raindrops. Besides the outlet, they're also raindrops that can make things grow. But if a person does not express that, then there's something aborted. There's something that is essentially being handicapped, not allowing yourself to be yourself. That's why you find actually in the Jewish calendar, where we are right now, the saddest time of the year begins right now, the next 9 days. So there's a period designated to be the saddest period of the year. Why would you designate a time to be sad? But there's also a period, the happiest time of the year, Purim time, the month of Adar. And they're actually equated to one another. It says just like when it comes this month of Av, we diminish in joy, so too in the month of Adar we increase. Why would you equate the two? Because that's the cycle of life. You ever go to a wedding ceremony, a Jewish wedding ceremony, you'll find they break a glass at the high point, at the end of the ceremony, under the chuppah, under the canopy. Why would you break a glass at a time like that? So one of the reasons given is to remember the destruction of the temple. But why would you remember destruction at the high point of life? No matter how that marriage will turn out, but usually by the ceremony, usually a high point. So why would you have to remind people when they're at the highest point of their lives, two people meeting, family coming together, sharing celebration? Why would you want to remember destruction? And the answer is a fascinating answer. Because it's part of the cycles of life. Denying and saying, I'm totally happy now, as if nothing in this world matters, is not sensitive. It's recognizing that there are hearts that are broken out there. There are things that are not complete. It's remembering humbly that even in your highest point of ecstasy and joy, know that there is another part of life which is not always so joyous. When you remember the sadness or the break in life at your high point of joy, you will be remembered when at times you may go through a setback. So when we're suffering, we can also suffer completely. I'm completely suffering. There's no room for anything happy. So just like in the moment of the highest moment of joy, you remember that there is something incomplete. So even in your moments when you're broken, you'll remember there's something complete. It's a statement of humility. It's a statement of recognizing that life is a journey and not any static place. Those that live in the moment and say, right now I'm happy, that's all that matters. Or right now I'm sad, that's all that matters. Those type of extremes are never balanced. It's always about understanding that it's like a Ferris wheel. Life turns. It's a wheel. And sometimes that wheel will be higher up, sometimes it will be lower down. Navigating those cycles is the key to everything. So that's why we say, just as there's a time of sadness, there's a time of joy. Sometimes just as joy, there's sadness. They go together. Of course, we hope and pray for only goodness and only joy in our lives. But we also recognize the importance of honoring the sadder moments. And it's honoring them. It's not going in denial. It's not a form of dissonance and escapism. It's honoring them with a proper respect and navigating through it. And it's allowing yourself to express yourself. Right now, I'm feeling not so great. Fine, no problem. That's perfectly fine. We don't have to fabricate and control everything in our lives. Sometimes we have to let it just travel through us, let ourselves travel through it. It is about navigation. It's a tremendous lesson in life. Yes, it is okay to be sad at times. In our world, some people say, I want to be around you. If you're despondent, I don't want to be around you. No, good friends, I want to be around you no matter what. Obviously, if you're a good friend, you'll also remind someone, maybe it's time to come out of it a bit. Maybe it's time to smile as well. It's all part of it. But at the same time, there's a validation in my feelings, and I'm feeling down. Now, there's an extreme today that some people are going the other way around, which is, it's all about my feelings. There are times that you do need to control your feelings. You don't have to always wear everything on your sleeve, both on a positive and a negative. You have to know how to transcend. But part of transcending is allowing yourself to express yourself. Obviously, if a person has not been allowed to cry, not been allowed to be sad, they have a lot to break out of. But you still want to have balance. Like you don't want to go to the other extreme. I know people who they say, my entire life, I was taking care of others. Now it's time for me to take care of myself. And they're not there for anyone but themselves. My time, I want to get equal time. There may be moments you may need to feel, may need that, but it's not really. The ultimate balance is the way Maimonides puts it beautifully. A person should also always travel on the middle path. But if you veered off too much to the right, you have to sometimes go to the left temporarily to get back to the center, but not permanently. So it's all about finding the balance. And sometimes, yes, we do need to cry more because we have more to release. It's about that release. And there's a tremendous power when a person is able to express themselves in both ways. I know people who were not allowed to be happy. They were either children of Holocaust survivors or people who suffered in trauma in other ways. And any happiness was considered like being guilty. How could you be happy after all that's happened? Same problem. Not allowing the natural human expression. In Jewish law, there's the concept, no one should know of it, of Shiva. You sit 7 days after the loss of a loved one, a family member, a parent. And it's interesting, it says those that want to sit more than 7 days, is considered to be insensitive. Those that want to sit less than 7 days also considered to be insensitive. Why? How do you regulate emotions? What happens if somebody wants to cry for 14 days? Somebody wants to cry for 2 days? Because what the Torah is telling us, the healthy psychological balance is, yes, you need to cry, but not overindulge in your own pain and not underindulge. To say, I'm so healthy, I'm not traumatized, I can move right on. No, it's important to be humbled. It's important to recognize and respect that you just lost, God forbid, a loved one in this world, even if they have an eternal soul and have all the beautiful memories and so on. So it's about finding balance. And that balance is part of what healthy life is all about. Just like we breathe, we exhale, we inhale, our hearts beat, there's a contraction and expansion. The waves, remember the waves? That is life. Unfortunately, technology and benefits creates the illusion of a certain stagnation. You could just sit in your couch potato, and just click on the channel changer, and you think life is moving on. You are moving. We are mobile creatures. We should not be static couch potatoes. We shouldn't be people who get trapped in just being stuck in one place. Movement is the key to everything. And movement by definition means ups and downs, twists and turns, sometimes surprises, embracing it all with a smile, and at times with a tear when need be. But such tears are tears of ultimately healthy tears. The tears that when you sow them will ultimately reap beautiful blessings, beautiful joy. So may all of us have a minimal amount of things to cry about, but when we do need to cry, cry well, find someone to cry to, find someone to cry with. As one great mystic once told one of his students, he says, I don't have answers for you. He was dealing with a tragedy, but I can cry with you. And that itself is a healing process. So we're now in a time of the year where we go through these cycles. There's the time of crying, and then there's the time of comforting. 3 weeks of affliction, 3 weeks of pain, or 3 weeks of mourning, and then 7 weeks of comfort, 3 and 7, adding up to 10, a full cycle yet again. So I hope these words are helpful. As again, I hope people don't need to have something to cry over, but tears do bathe the soul. They're soothing. They're like a spa. In a way, they're comforting and allow you to be yourself, allow you to express yourself, and allow you to also free yourself from those knots that tie us up so often because they're not being expressed. May you have people to express yourself to. Please see me as a friend in every possible way. This has been Simon Jacobson. MeaningfulLife.com is our website. Please subscribe to this and all our other offerings, our YouTube channel. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, your feedback, your comments, and please share. Be blessed and be well. May the joy and I don't want to say non-joy, may the joy and the sadness in our lives all join together in one beautiful cosmic dance and symphony. Be well and be blessed.